What's that?
So how do I start talking? We didn't know that.
He'll be okay.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, it's important. All right, good evening. We are at the City of Plattsburgh Public Safety Committee meeting. It is May 15th, 2023 at 5:05 p.m. and we're going to go get started. I'll start with the roll call. Councilor Vaughn. Here. Councilor Kelly.
Here.
Mayor Rosenkranz.
Here.
And I am here as well, Councilor Bott. First, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the April 17th, 2023 Public Safety
Motion.
Committee meeting. I've got a motion from Mayor Rosenkranz, second from Councilor Kelly. All in favor, or wait, any deletions, corrections, or changes? No? Okay, all in favor of approving? Aye. Okay. Moving on to number 2, we have the building inspector reports. So no building inspector. We have the monthly reports, we have the monthly violation, the year-to-date citizen complaint proactive control report, the year-to-date permit applications and revenues.
I would just like to,
Go ahead.
sorry, Counselor, did you have anything else?
I would say any questions, concerns?
As you can see, Joe had a personal matter tonight, so, you know, he's not here. I will note that, thank you for folks calling to Wiry, asking about the proactive reports and the building inspector reports that we, produce. Every single month, we do have both proactive and complaint driven reports that are presented to this committee, which are available publicly. These are reports that are also made available to the public. We do actively patrol our city streets for violations, and then we also respond to either counselors would call or make a comment or a note on some concerns in their neighborhood, or we get calls down to the office on concerns from residents. But we do actively do this. That information is available via public channels and this committee as well. So just wanted to make that very clear to folks who have a question on how do we respond to these kinds of violations.
Yeah, I know whenever anybody comes to me with something too, I always make sure to follow up with them to the point of resolution. So that's always an option for people to reach out to their counselor if they need extra support. Julie,
Yeah, I was gonna ask Joe, I don't know if it's viable to continue with Joe not here. It's just a question about, just out of curiosity, what can be done to, zone our homes against that are becoming, B&Bs? I mean, is there anything that solution to prevent that from happening?
Gotcha. Yeah, I know that there was a couple of emails that got exchanged between a handful of residents in one particular neighborhood in my office. This is something that we did raise with both Dean and the building inspector's office. I know that there has been other municipalities that have put a moratorium on short-term rentals. And I think there is some validity to that. I certainly have reached out to NICOM to get example municipalities that have done this as well. But at this point, there's the immediate, you know, without a knee-jerk reaction, I think the immediate thing is to find out what the actual if there's a lot of them versus compared to, you know, there might be 5, we don't know that number. So I think first off is to get quantifiable information to make a decision, and then based on that information, bring it back with some proposal based on other examples that we've seen other municipalities do. Right now, we just haven't seen, other than this one complaint, we have not seen complaints about short-term rentals. I know this is a dead-end neighborhood, residential neighborhood, which I think is causing the most concern, considering that it's a large house and there's a number of rooms to rent on that property, and which is, you know, every room is 1 or 2 extra cars in that neighborhood, which they're not quite used to. So certainly a concern. And it is more of a concern for available housing. Certainly, we don't want to see our rental stock permanent, long-term, we call it more traditional rentals, turn into short-term rentals, considering the need for housing. But right now, I'd like to get, probably quantify, that some decision before we move forward to just ban all short-term rentals.
Well, I think part of the thing about this one, that I remember from the emails is that, if I recall correctly, that house was already, it was either under the deed or already under the zoning, that nothing on that street or neighborhood was ever supposed to be a rental property. Which then did raise the question in my mind of what other properties in Plattsburgh may also have that kind of caveat to them, and if so, you know, how we handle that.
Yeah.
So that,
The problem I see with that kind of situation is, I have a large house, can't have a B&B in it. But gee, do you wanna come stay at my house for a week? And somebody else stays at my house for a week, somebody else, I mean, I'm not renting, you know. So it's can be very, that can be very dicey, you know, so I understand that the difficulty in
Sure.
clarifying.
Yeah, the other thing is in our initial pass at what enforcement does the city do versus what we don't do, we typically don't do deed restriction enforcements. That's not typically the role of the city, especially if a group of parcels that were sold together to a developer and there's a deed restriction on those parcels, that's typically becomes a civil matter, not a civic matter or civic enforcement. And so again, when we look at what we can do, it's more of a blanket approach to what's regulated in the city versus, hey, there's a deed restriction and we want the city to enforce something like that. It's typically outside our wheelhouse.
that definitely answered my question for that. Thank you.
Would like to see a sample of what other cities in New York State are doing in this issue. I know many communities are facing problems with short-term rentals, and it's making it harder for people to get long-term rentals, which we know that's already a problem in our city. And I'd like to, hear some samples of what other municipalities are doing.
Yeah, and Councilor Kelly, if the city of Plattsburgh leans towards going that route of banning or putting a moratorium, we would not be the only municipality to do so, right? So there's many other cities and villages and towns and other places in New York that have done this and that have gone through this exercise. So
Perhaps we can learn from others.
agreed. Thank you.
Okay, anything further on this matter? All right, we'll move on to the police department, group number 3. So we'll start with the reports. If everybody's amenable, we've got the 3 reports, 3.1 through 3.3 that we can discuss together. That includes the monthly parking violation bureau report, the monthly call arrest and the dog control report, and the payroll and overtime report. These are the reports we get each month. They look pretty standard to me, but any questions, concerns about anything on these?
I just noticed that the numbers are way up on parking violations this year as opposed to last year. Could that be because we have an additional agent out there writing tickets? Is that part of that?
I would think that's probably part of the big part of the reason. To be out of the beach a little bit more. Excuse me.
That's good. That's good to know.
Also note the payroll numbers are looking pretty good. We will certainly see a little bit more room in the payroll account for PD, especially. We do have some retirements that we're expecting to happen sometime later. Even with the pending hires, the folks that we've already put in the academy, we should still see some good numbers in both fire department and police department for payroll.
It's been looking like that, which is awesome.
The overtime's been a little bit better
It really is. Yeah.
with the upcoming season.
Well, right, true. Good thing we're going into it in good shape, I guess then. All right, anything further on those reports? All right, we'll move on to item 3.4, draft resolution, approval of police academy director training director services. A motion from Councilor Kelly, second by Mayor Rosenquist, discussion.
I'm kind of curious, how many city residents are enrolled in the academy and how many members they are.
How many city residents are
The city, our actual city residents.
of our cadet? I wouldn't have that number. We do go off of the list when you hire. We hire a city, if you're a city resident, you get preference. But because this last list was so short, we didn't hire just city residents. We can start with that, didn't call that list. So we call the list of all through the whole county. I can certainly get that for you. If that's more.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Any other questions or discussions on this item?
This is an item to approve the Director St. Tours, contract. This is a 3-year contract. We just negotiated this, or when did we do this last? That 2 years back, I think we did this 2 years back.
It was actually the year before, so now it looks like we're doing that
Okay.
for,
Right.
last year.
Okay, so, this is the contract through 2026. The academy typically runs every year, depending on if we have vacancies or not. And this is something that Ron coordinates not only with our academy, but if you'll recall, we are the Zone 9 Academy, so we do training for agencies all over Clinton, Essex, Franklin. Typically, they will come to our academy to get trained for their local agency.
Thank you.
And Ron's been doing this for 35 years.
Been doing it for at least 30 years.
Yeah.
Since I was here. We've had people as far as Warren County, Hamilton County, Saratoga, at least connected, we've had people there a couple times, so.
For the training academy.
The training academy,
Yeah. That's great.
it's not just academy, it's in-service training.
Yeah.
That's the experience.
All right, seeing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. And I see none opposed, this one moves to the agenda for the regular meeting. Next, we have 3.5 draft resolution, authorized travel requests for the police department. Any discussion on these travel requests? Looks like some really good training opportunity.
Yeah.
And all of these were budgeted for this year, so they are coming out of the budgeted training account.
Yeah, so that's great. Any questions or comments on this?
Need a motion.
Oh, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
The motion from Mayor Rosenblatt. Second from Councilor Kelly. Discussion. All right, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay, this will also move to the regular meeting. Next, we have draft resolution, item 3.6, authorized renewal contract, Complex Data Innovations, Inc., parking ticket collection services. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Mayor Rosenblatt, second by Councilor Kelly. Discussion.
This is just a renewal of the existing contract that we use for the service for parking enforcement.
All right, no further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, none opposed. This will also move to the agenda for the regular meeting. And that closes out our police department section. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to the fire department. We'll begin with our reports. If they're amenable to everybody, we'll discuss the two reports together. We have 4.1, monthly EMS and fire call, 4.2, monthly payroll and overtime. Hey, Chief.
How we doing?
Very good.
EMS calls are up, as you can see. So we're doing that. That means revenue is up.
Great.
We're doing well with that. Fire calls staying about the same, maybe a little raise, but all in all, we're good with that. Payroll and overtime. We're doing well. We're going to be coming into the rough season. Everyone knows that. We are currently doing interviews for hiring 4 new firefighters. We have confirmation they can go to the academy on July 29th. So that's the start date. So we've got some time to fill that. We'll go through that, but it looks like we have some quality candidates,
Awesome. It's great to hear.
which with the list being so small, I'm surprised. We're getting there.
Where are we at with the assistant chief test and results? Are we
Have
still
not heard back. Now we expect, if it follows what the firefighter timeline is, probably in another month. And then we'll see how that works out. And we're gonna have to have discussions about multiple options. What's gonna happen with movements, things like that. So. We should be good, but yeah, these recruits will be going in on the 29th to the fire academy, and they will be coming out right before Thanksgiving. So fully trained, but it's intensive, so.
Yeah. Well, good. We look forward to welcoming them. That'll be great.
Yes, be interesting.
Yeah.
They can be surprised, couple.
Yeah, and understanding that we're going into the busy season, it's great to see the payroll and overtime in good shape now, because at least we're going into it in good shape, so,
Yes, we're gonna try,
yeah, and we'll deal with what comes next as it comes.
right?
Any other questions on these reports or discussion on these reports? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 4.3. We've got a draft resolution revising capital project H5110.92, 2022 equipment purchase 4. Can I get a motion? Motion from Counselor Kelly, second from Counselor Vaughn, discussion. It seems like the resolution is pretty straightforward in terms of explaining everything. Nobody has any questions then, I will move to all in favor. Aye. Okay, and seeing none opposed, this will also move to the agenda for our regular meeting. That's all I have. Thank you so much for your time. Right, moving on to number 5, any new business to come before this committee?
I don't know. I guess it's a couple of questions, maybe a statement, possibly an idea. It's always an adventure with me to figure out. Obviously, but this is, in reference to, Mr. Lemet's concerns. I'm just curious, with the public outreach that our police department and SUNY are kind of doing. I kind of had an idea or a thought, that what about blanketing, going door to door, doing it in a positive outlook or positive, instead of going and saying, guys better knock it off. What about going and saying, you know, look, you know, you guys have a week left. Let's go out on a positive note. Let's, you know, kind of respect our neighbors, you know, let's keep, I don't know. I mean, I just, let's keep our last week peaceful, let's be respectful. And I mean, is anything like that ever been done? Are we doing it? Can we do it?
A community outreach like a blanket one like that, I don't know if we've ever done anything like that. We have had group meetings with the college students before. SUNY usually organizes that, and we have meetings with them on that, unorganized, explaining the noise ordinance and people, you know, which residents that live here year round, not just during college season, to try to curb some of that. And it does help. But what we find sometimes the people that go to those meetings aren't ones that have some problem.
Exactly.
So we'll do foot patrols. When we do foot patrols, the guys will walk up in that zone, college area, make contact with students throughout the day, throughout the evening, early in the evening, letting them know. So you can kind of tell when early fires are starting to stir up, and we'll make contact with them and let them know, try to curb things down. And that seems to work pretty well.
I mean, I know it's hard. I mean, we were all young, you know, and especially this time it's spring, car stereos are up, house stereos are up, and they're getting ready to graduate. But I mean, that's why doing it like in a positive way, you know, hey, you guys don't, you know, you don't want to go out in a negative light. Let's be respectful. You know, we're not gonna like. We're not demanding that, you know, for blood and salt here. We just want you guys to kind of respect your neighbors. So, I mean, that was just a different aspect on how to handle, you know, somebody that's very upset with the situation over there. So. Thank you.
And to tag on to that idea, Julie, I kind of had somewhat of a similar thought, thinking ahead to next year. I mean, I don't think it's going to be implemented, but some sort of collaboration with SUNY, where maybe they could have some type of student task force or student outreach group that would somehow promote positive community interactions and respect. Just thinking about college kids, they're gonna listen to their peers before they're gonna listen to us, you know, we don't know anything. So I just think that maybe if we made that kind of connection or something with the school, like you said, those students that are interested in attending those meetings, maybe they'd also be interested in volunteering to help us create, you know, foster a more positive relationship between the community and the college students at large. So just something that maybe we could consider. I know sometimes we have SUNY interns around, maybe it's even something we could discuss with them. So just a thought. I also wanted to bring up, again, pedestrian safety. For me, I'm specifically thinking about, as usual, the area down by the park, the park down by me in Ward 5, McDonough. You know, I've seen more and more in the years that I've lived in that neighborhood. I've lived in the same neighborhood. I've walked the same routes again and again, and I've seen pedestrian traffic increase in that neighborhood a lot, specifically around the park, of course. And it's really not a safe place to bike or walk. Even the bike lane that's there is very narrow. And, you know, especially when it comes to like kids who might be running around the park or people with their pets who might be in the park. I just think that if we could get at least crosswalks around that park area, which there should be because it's a park, you know, I think that would be at least a really effective step towards starting to promote some traffic calming and also just pedestrian awareness in that area, because there is none right now. People whip through there. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. You know, the nice weather, it's like Julie said, the nice weather comes along and people are out walking more, but also people are like driving their cars faster, windows down, you know, music blasting. So we just need to do what we can to.
Where is this exactly?
I'm talking about the park with the Henry D. Champlain Monument.
The Samuel D. Johnson.
Samuel D. Champlain Monument, yeah, down in my ward. Yeah, there's just no safety there. And on that particular road, Cumberland Ave, people whip on that road. I mean, 40, 45 is common. And, you know, they'll be coming around that turn, maybe they're not going quite at that fast there, but still no regard for safety. Plus, it's just difficult. Like as a pedestrian walking in that area, there are no crosswalks. The sidewalk ends in one area and you're kind of just like, second guessing yourself, like with the cars. So I think we just need to nip that in the bud.
Well, you might be happy to know that the city was sent out to bid the striking contract for this year, so hopefully you can get some action over there in your Woodford.
Yeah, we'll see. And then, I mean, I reiterate some of the streets, they needed to, so.
Yeah.
All right, any other new business to come before the committee right now? All right, then seeing none, any public comment here or online? Nope, seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion from Mayor Rosenquist, second by Councilor Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.